Hi everyone, Des Adams with the Sales Vision Business Games video of the day, and the book I've been reading recently, Don't Say Yes When You Want to Say No, has been a fascinating read so far, and I was amazed to find a chapter in here titled How to Get Thin and Stay Thin. And this video is not an endorsement on a crash diet course or anything like that. It's a very, very detailed coverage of how to literally get thin and stay thin. And Herbert and Jean, they start off with the statement that overweight people are very much under the control of outside stimuli, which the sight and smell of food, and we all know about that, don't we? At some point, overweight people, they learn the habit of overeating, making it a lifestyle choice as they felt insecure without it. So the answer to staying thin is not a crash diet. It takes time to establish a permanent new habit to affect change, and that's basically what you're doing to get the weight off and keep it off. And what they suggest, an excellent aim would be for a loss of 1 to 2 pounds a week, or the equivalent in kilos, for a long-term and combined with a long-term change in your eating habits. So what you need to do is search for the stimuli that set off your unwanted eating and eliminate them by pinpointing the specific eating or exercise you want to change. So they're more or less taking a mindset approach to getting thin and staying thin. It's a very, very fascinating way of approaching it. And what they've done in the book is they've outlined 12 key points, and I'm going to go through those, and of course those points will be available in the description for you as well, because I think they're onto a winner with this, particularly if you follow it. And the first one is they stress learn your own eating habits. In other words, prepare a diet diary. It just means keeping track of what you're eating, when you're eating it, how you're eating it, and where, of course, if you're on the run, you're tempted for takeaway food. Second point is avoid buying high calorie foods. Now, that would seem pretty obvious, wouldn't it? But it's a very important point, because if you keep on buying those high calorie foods, you're definitely going to be tempted to keep on eating them. Third point is do your food shop. This is very, very important. Do your food shopping after a full meal. Now, once again, you'd think that would be pretty obvious, but you'd be amazed how many people, and I've done it myself, you on your way home from work, you've had a hard day, and I've got to do the food shopping. And of course, you race into the supermarket or the food store, and you've got an empty stomach, and you're definitely going to be tempted to get food that you wouldn't normally buy. So I think that's a really great idea. Do your shopping after a full meal. Fourth one is do not serve. This is also very important. Do not serve high calorie condiments or sauces at mealtime. And that is a real temptation, isn't it? To add to your food, you have all these rich sauces. And it can be a hard thing to break, I think, that habit. Fifth one, make acceptable foods as decorative and attractive as possible. That's a nice way of thinking it, isn't it? You make your food decorative, the ones that are going to help keep the weight off, and possibly disguise the ones that are really heavy in calories and don't make them look as attractive to you. Number 6, slow down as much as possible while eating. Now, I'm guilty of this. I tend to eat a lot faster than I should. But what they're suggesting is slow down and really take your time to absorb the flavors. And well, I've read it somewhere, where you should chew your food at least 20 times. So I've never been able to do that myself, but it's worth slowing down, at least trying to slow down as much as possible while you're eating. Number 7, now, my mother drilled into me, you've got to eat your food before you leave the table. And you've got to eat everything on that plate. And I think a lot of people in families have been drilled that into their children, you're not to leave the table before you finish your meals. So what they're suggesting here is always leave some food on your plate. And it can be a very small amount, but what it does, it helps break the bad habit of eating just because food is there. And I think that's a really interesting one, It seems to be wasteful because you're leaving food behind, but it's reinforcing that very, very important point of not eating food just because food's there. Number 8, make eating of high-calorie foods as difficult as possible. And that's a tricky one, but an important one to do if you can. Number 9, control your... Oh, this is so important. Control your snacking by keeping track of when you want to snack and limit it. Now, of course, with the snacking thing, this is a very, very hard one to break. But if you're snacking on, and I've found if you're snacking on biscuits or cakes, well, that's a road to nowhere. You're really going to put on the weight. So I've often been, I do try wherever possible to have an apple a day, and I think that's anything sort of fruit or veggie to have as a snack is going to be a great way to help break through that biscuit and cake and, the tempting desserts mid-afternoon when you're really feeling quite hungry. Number 10, take steps to control unhappy or unpleasant feelings that produce eating excess. Yeah, because another chapter in the book is on depression, and a lot of people, when they're depressed, they will eat a lot more. So if you can get on top of any depressive type feelings, that can help stop eating, to excess. Number 11, work out what exercise you do now. And yeah, I thought this is a very interesting one. Work out what exercise you do now and increase it by an extra 500 calories worth a day. Now that's a really great tip, and something that you could easily work out, to trim down 500 calories worth a day. And number 12, the final one, use creative reinforcers to keep you on track. They suggest to use extreme visual examples to drive home how much you need to lose, as well as having a buddy to monitor with money incentives as rewards for losing and penalty when adding extra weight. And they mention in the book, a lady, she actually filled a plastic bag with the amount of weight that she wanted to take off, and then you've got a visual, it's hard to visualize how much weight you're losing. So if you can create it to a physical thing that you can see and feel, I think you're much better off in sticking to a plan, and you feel more encouraged when you can see the weight actually coming off. So that's it, 12 very, very powerful points in a book that I never ever expect to have the topic of how to get thin and stay thin. So if you're on a bit of a weight handicap, I think if you go through those 12 points, there's some very, very valuable information in there for you to get thin and stay thin. And I hope you enjoyed that as much as I was quite surprised in reading it and going through it, and I can see the sense and the way they're tackling it. Of course, it's in a book. When you think about it, don't say yes to those high calorie foods when you want to say no. So no wonder they had the topic how to get thin and stay thin in the book. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed researching it. And wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a great time. And as you can see in the background, we've got some beautiful roses out at the moment. So the gardening is helping me keep thin. Okay. See you on the next video. Okay, all the very best. Bye for now.